Step 2. Design a map for it. Now we get to the part where we should define a principled map for our project. At this step, we should answer the following questions. We should specify in detail which tables the data we have included, which tables gotta be selected as dimensions, and which tables are facts. Which facts and dimensions do our project need? Are the available tables enough to create our facts and dimensions? And other questions of this sort. The environment we need here is the Visual Studio environment. And the tool we need here is the Data Source View DSV, which is this section. So DSV is the tool for our second step. The theoretical concept we need for this step is one of the popular schemas we should select based on the type of project. The schema selected in this step of the training is the STAR schema that we already talked about. The Data Source View, DSV, is where we add the desired facts and dimensions based on the schema and specify the relationships. So based on what we discussed so far, we could say that DSV is a logical model of the data source, a graphic representation of the available objects. This means that it presents a graphic image of the data source you created in the first step. Here you can see the tables of that database and the relationships between the tables graphically. You'll gain a better understanding of this when you finish this step and see the output. Now, we gotta start the design of our project based on the facts and dimensions in the Data Source View environment using the STAR schema, which suits our work in the Visual Studio environment. The STAR schema resembles a star, as I already mentioned. The reason for its name is that it has a facts table in its center with various dimensions connected to it directly. So we're gonna implement the map based on the STAR schema and the DSV on the data source we specified. So let's go and create this schema using the DSV. To create the DSV, we first right-click on the Data Source View option, and then select the first option, which is New Data Source View. Then the Data Source View wizard opens where you just gotta click Next. In the next window, you should introduce the data source you created in the previous step to the DSV. If you remember, I chose the data source name the same as the database name, AdventureWorks DW 2019, which I choose in this section. If you haven't created and specified the data source in the previous stage, you can do it in this window. All you gotta do is to click New Data Source. The same data source wizard opens where you can specify and create the data source. So I hit Cancel here and do then move on. So you see here that we specified the data source. Now we hit Next. In the next window, we gotta select the tables and views that we need and add them to our project. This is where we should select the dimensions and facts based on which we design the schema. Among the available tables, I need 3 dimensions and 2 facts. The dimensions I need are dim date, dim product, and dim sales territory, and the facts that I need are fact internet sales and fact reseller sales. I need these items, which I choose by clicking on them. to select multiple tables at the same time. All you gotta do is hold down the Control key and select your desired tables, which I'm doing right now. Now we should add these selected tables to our project. To do this, all we have to do is click on this button so that the tables are transferred to the right. You see here that clicking this takes all the tables to the right. If you click this button, it transfers all the tables to the right with no regard for your selection. So I selected the 3 dimensions and 2 facts that I needed and added them to the project. Now I click Next to move on with the work. Here the work of DSV is done and similar to the last section. We should give it a name. Down here you can see the dimensions and facts that we selected once again. So we consider a name for our DSV here. I choose a DVenture Works DW 2019 again and click Finish. So as you can see in the figure, my DSV is created under the name I chose for it. All I have to do is double-click on it and see the output. You see here that DSV is nothing but a graphic representation of the existing objects. As mentioned earlier, the star schema structure connects the dimensions to the facts directly. If you pay attention, this structure resembles a star, which is the reason why this schema has been named after stars. One of the advantages of this stage, building a schema, is that you can make some useful changes based on the project on the schema after you build it through the DSV, without having to make these changes actually in the database environment. For instance, suppose you need an extra field where calculations are to be made on specific fields, such as calculating the mean of some fields for you. You can easily create this computational field in this environment, although it does not exist in your database. Aside from changes, you can perform data fetching from tables in this environment too. You probably know that this equals the select command in the TSQL language. Here you can explore the data and review its contents. All you gotta do is to right-click on the specific table and select Explore Data. You see here that you can view the fields of the tables and the data inside them. One of the good facilities of this tool is Named Query, through which you can create a named query by right-clicking on a space in the work environment and selecting the New Named Query option. Give it a name. And write a query using the TSQL language that can be performed. Now, what's the use of this named query? This helps you when the needs of the customer cannot be addressed solely by using the available dimension and fact tables. But it can be solved if we take the data from several sources. All we have to do in such cases is to create a named query and fetch the required data from the desired tables. And now we have some new data. To make it easy, suppose that you have new tables with some fields, and each field is in a separate table. But this table does not actually exist in the database. Well, this is something that you can easily create in this environment whenever you feel the need to. We'll have many practical and real examples in Phase 3. We'll discuss it in detail there. It's actually a very important and practical topic you gotta master. All right, friends. Let's summarize our work again. What was the output of the work? The specification of the project map or the schema, which is what you're seeing right now. Here we can see the dimensions, facts, and how they're connected, and change them based on project requirements. We can add new fields and even new tables whenever we feel the need to. If you've practiced the stages of the work in the right order, you should be seeing output like this on your system. If so, you've taken this step correctly, and we can move on to implement the third step. Ready? Let's go.